want to tell you some fallout that's happened thus far. I talked to Drake. Yes. Actually, let's start there. So, remember last stream, right? Again, just that everybody knows. And again, I know some people, there's some people, I won't even call them fans. I would just call them people who want to be entertained. That they watch these streams and they, they have a selection bias in the sense that they want to see whatever is the most entertaining, right? So, whatever that fits their narrative, they're going to go with. For example, act salty over a call. You know what I mean? I think people, you would know if I was salty over a call or something like that. But those people are always going to exist, right? But there's the people who actually kind of get, at least what's going on. And I guess I explained for you guys. But anyway, I'll give you an update. So we talked about the album last time. And I remember I told you Drake hit me up during stream, right? So, I didn't hit him back. I kind of just, everything's live. So I told you, I was like, yo, Drake hit me up. I didn't really tell you everything he said. But, not everything was too nice, I'm going to be honest. But he was like, yo, damn, bro, you salty? And I was just like, where did he get that from? Now, we actually, we sent messages back and forth afterwards. And here's the hilarious part about it, which I figured. So Drake hits me back, right? Because I responded after I got off stream. And he hits me back and he says, yo, dog, I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't even watch the stream. Yachty hit me up and told me, yo, why act going crazy on you? I'm like, what? Yo, Yachty. Real talk, that's what he said. He said, yo, act, when I hit you with that message, I wasn't even watching. He was like, yo, I think he was performing, right? Remember, he did 2 nights. He was like, yo, I had the best nights of my life. He really had fun just closing out that tour and celebrating this album release in Toronto. And he was just like, yo, bro, I was just I was on an all-time high. I had the best night of my life. And he was like, yeah, I didn't watch it. So he's like, yo, I'm just, I'm, and not that Yachty told him some crazy, but Yachty was just like, yo, Drake, why this nigga act going crazy on you like that? So he didn't really see or understand or even know any contextual premise around anything I said. So I think that's where me and him started. That's where his message came from. And I'm hoping he probably saw shit afterwards, because for him to admit that, that's probably him saying, yo, bro, what I said initially was me blindly. My man's told me you was wilding. So I'm like, yo, bro, whatever. And, he also clarified on the Joe Budden thing. And we're going to talk about a few of those things. Again, I'm not going to make this all dragged out, because we can't drag this one issue out for 2 weeks. But that's what he said. Everything I said on stream, I said plus more to him again. And I said, listen, for me, and this is very important for me, it's very important that Drake doesn't feel like he's above criticism. I don't care. We're the ones who made it popular and made it now that it's normal to call him a GOAT. He is the GOAT. But that doesn't mean that should give him an ego that says nobody could tell me shit. That's a very dangerous place to be. That's just being honest. Everybody deserves critique. Me too. Even if you watch me every day, you might be like, yo, I like when you used to do this better, or damn, shit, them streams back then was hitting more. It is what it is. And even if I disagree, I should be able to listen to what you're saying or read it or whatever. And even if I just disregard it, I shouldn't take it that personal, right? So that was mainly my message, right? And secondly, my message was, dog, we hold you to a higher standard. You're getting judged on a really unrealistic standard. And, I don't even think that there's any apology needed for why you're being judged this, meticulously, because it's a reason why we called you the GOAT. You have a different standard than everybody else. He did speak a little bit about Joe, and he explained to me, and let me see. We're going to get into, because I've seen Birdman. A lot of people have jumped into this. This is crazy now. He explained to me a little bit about the Joe thing. By the way, I think Joe's going to do a pod soon. I don't know. Did Joe drop a pod today? His next pod is probably going to be addressing a lot of these things. However, I'll give you the gist of kind of what he pretty much told me. Because I think he also told me why he reacted to Joe like that, right? Because remember, I'm like, yo, bro, you to go, but you got to be able to take criticism. Like, what's going on here, right? And he's like, no. He's like, the criticism is not the problem. He's like, yo, if Joe or you, anyone else, y'all get on your platform, y'all like my album, don't like it, y'all hate it, that's all good. Like, if you're just talking about the music, that is all good, right? And I think, by the way, our conversation chat, I think we were pretty much talking about music, right? So, I think that's why he was trying to tell us, oh, I didn't hear exactly what you said. With Joe, though, I think because it was plastered all over social media. Remember, I was doing it live. His shit was all on Instagram, this and third. He said with Joe, and I think he reached out to Joe, he said, he pretty much gave me a gist of the convo. He's like, he told Joe, like, yo, bro, just don't get on your platform and talk about me like you don't respect me. You know what I mean? Like, don't talk about me like there isn't some respect there between us as men. And he's like, just don't get on there talking spicy about me as a person, right? It's like, if you don't like the music or you do like the music, those are all opinions that are entitled to you. But if you get up on there, and I think he specifically said it was just like, you start like aiming like super personal shots at me about me and my character and just how I'm living in terms of, you're hanging with little niggas and you're running around here fucking all the 25-year-old women. And he's like, yo, this thing is just making this shit up. Like, that's not actually even reality. Like, you know what I mean? But that's a personal shot. He's like, of course I'm going to take it a certain type of way. The dude is attacking me personally based on him having a critique over the music, right? And you know what? I understood that. So, again, I think him and Joe have a different relationship. But, my whole thing is we kind of continue during this album cycle. By the way, I think Drake is very, I seen him post on his Instagram recently. He posted the comments that people said about Take Care when it first came out. Like, that was a very mixed review type album, right? And at first, a lot of people were like, this shit's soft. This ain't what hip hop is, blah, blah. As the months went by, people were like, this shit is tough. Then as the months went by, they're like, this is one of the best albums. As the years went by, it became, that was undoubtedly a classic, right? So I guess he was just like, listen, and he told me this too. He said, the most important probably thing he told me about, because I'm giving him this critique. Again, I'm not going to say something on stream I wouldn't say to him one-on-one conversation. And he said, listen, he said, take some time. He says, just take some time with it. He's like, I've heard this before. He's like, some of what you're telling me, some of the critiques you have, I've heard this before. And I usually know, I think I'm a good gauge. That's what he's telling me. He's like, I think I'm a good gauge of how the story ends. Take some time with it. And I'm going to be honest with you, I think that's a fair thing. That's a fair thing to say. And I told him, I said, listen, I didn't judge the whole album in its totality, but I do have critique on some of the direction. I have some critique on some of the flows. I have some critique on even just the inspiration, right? And that was pretty much the convo that kind of preceded this. Obviously, for the people who are here or who are watching, some of y'all going to come up with a few opinions. Don't you see Drake's manipulating you? That's a good one they're going to throw out. Second, they're going to be like, you got to get off his dick, bro, like whatever. Also, some people's going to be like, you're just looking for acknowledgement, so when he responds to you, now you speak about him in a more open. No. Hey, the reality of this is, I think the thought that Drake not calling into my stream would make me biased is such a ridiculous thing. I've supported Drake 10 times more when I never ever talked to him. I didn't know who, I didn't even know if he knew who I was. You get what I mean? So to now feel like I'm an entitled, like he has to call. And by the way, here's the thing too. Him not calling into the stream, that's really for y'all. That's for, us as a community, but it's for y'all. It's not like the nigga not answering me. Like, he's like, we're communicating, right? And by the way, I really don't give a fuck about talking to him when the music comes out like that. I did tell him this though, and this is, I'm going to show you how honest I am. I said, I said to him, I said, I feel offended that you would think that my opinion on your album is because you didn't call into my stream. That's not what it is, right? I was like, I basically said, I don't give a fuck about that. I will be honest, if there was something I was going to care about, nigga, when I asked you for them tickets and you ain't responded, I felt the way about that. But this, like, you not calling into his stream, nigga, you unwarrantedly, like, you gotta remember, I didn't hit Drake up that night when we were listening to the shit. He hit me up. He said, he said, call me. I walked away from the mic. It was kind of muted, so only people in Discord heard it. He didn't care if we're on the mic, but I'm just out of courtesy for somebody. You know, I'm a live streamer. I walk away. I say, yo, by the way, I was on stream. I walked away. You know, I ain't gonna put your personal. And he's like, yo, no, I ain't tripping over it. He's like, they could hear whatever. He's like, yo, you ready? And I'm like, I'm ready. He's like, yo, tomorrow, I'm dropping this shit. He's like, I'm gonna call you at midnight. That was the conversation. You get what I mean? So, you know, I know people want to make it like I'm some salty person over a call. That's not it, bro. Like, come on, like, no. If it was anything I would ever be salty over, it would be them tickets. And I still went to the fucking concert, all of them. You know what I mean? I had tickets to give away to mad people. Anyway, I guess that part was just me at least kind of, you know, because I read certain comments sometimes, and the comments are so far from reality. They're like, yo, look, Ak is hurting. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? But okay. So yeah, that's what he told me about Joe so far. By the way, two interesting things. Birdman went on Clubhouse. Whack 100 was trying to get me on there, but I think I was tied up with some shit. So Birdman goes on Clubhouse, addresses a bunch of stuff. Also, Joe Budden happened to be on Clubhouse, which is a little bit random. I thought Clubhouse was like damn near dead other than Whack, but he got on there and he pretty much tried to respond a bit. And I guess this is going to be the preview. Joe Budden, let me see. This is going to be the preview of what I think is going to be on his podcast. Joe Budden, Drake, Clubhouse. Yeah, he was on Clubhouse like literally, it was like yesterday or something like that. You know what I mean? Let me see. Where is it? Yo, wait, fuck. He was on Clubhouse. Do you know where I can find that clip? Actually, give me a second. I'm going to find it right now. By the way, also, right before I get to that, I'm going to address it, but let me find this real quick. Okay. Okay, I found it. All right, I'll put it up in a second. What's it called? Joe Budden responds to Drake. This week. Hold on, give me 1 second. Oh my God, I can't. What's the name of the channel? Sorry, chat. Content Chunk? What the fuck? Okay, I got the channel. All right. So, and this is, you know, honestly, you know, even though I've talked, and by the way, you know, I spent a considerable amount of time, like, even kind of just explaining what I believe a core Drake fan is feeling about this album, but also why we are going to have critique and just where we are with that shit. Like, just in all honesty, I think Drake has had a phenomenal part of his career. He's the greatest ever, but bro, I'm gonna be honest with you, nigga, you ain't bigger than some criticism. Like, and I would never want the artists who have supported it for 15 years to feel like now because we have celebrated him as the greatest, he just feels like, fuck all you niggas, anything I do, you better accept. That's just not how the game is played. And critique is always important. So, and honestly, for me, I'm looking at where Drake is at and how he's moving since his album has dropped. And I'm going to be honest with you. Like, it's Nicki Minaj-esque. And you know I clown Nicki, but I give it up fair across the board. Like, I've never seen Drake so caring of what the conversation seems to be in the moment that he might seem bothered. Do you get what I mean? Like, that's Nicki Minaj. Like Nicki Minaj is like typing and tweeting all day and liking stuff. Like, she's like 70 doing that, right? Like, we expected of her. That's like Nicki's thing, right? That's kind of what turns a lot of people off of her, because even though she's a legend, the greatest female rapper of all time, she's like super like anal and trying to like control the conversation. And if somebody says something she don't like, it's a hate train. And we've never seen Drake act like that, despite what they say. Sometimes it like, think about when Drake dropped even Duppy Freestyle, which I believe he out-rapped Pusha T, right? Some people said, nah, Pusha got the best of him, especially because he didn't respond. And, Pusha said the whole thing about the Adonis. I don't think Drake was that defensive. I think he just continued on. He dropped motherfucking Scorpion, and we just kept moving on. So we've never seen Drake and I hate to, for the Nicki fans here, I'm not trying to just diss her, but that's how Nicki acts. Like, Nicki seems fragile and she's like play this. Nicki and Cardi B, if we look at a totality conversation, they're not even in the same discussion, yet you'll see Nicki throwing subliminals at Cardi B because she's bothered. You get what I mean? I guess that's what it is. When I say Drake acting like Nicki, that means bothered. Like, you know what I mean? I don't like, who cares what I like, but you could tell when an artist is bothered. I see that with Nicki a lot. Nicki's bothered at Stormy, Travis Scott, everybody who she claims is screwing her, instead of just saying, all right, I'll come back better with something else, or, hey, to each his own. Sometimes you just got to chalk it up. To each his own. All right, bet. Joe, this wasn't for you. To each his own, brother. Right? Now, again, Joe did go personal, so I agree with him on, whatever. But, like, for example, with Drake, I see Drake, like he's commented a few times, and then even, like, his captions seem Nicki-esque, where it seems he might be bothered. Like everything is written, I thank God for this life and not having to come to rush conclusions on Best Buy podcast mics. You know why I find this a little bit odd? Because Drake, by his own actions, seems like he doesn't feel a need to really interact with hip-hop media. And again, it's not about interviews or has he interviewed with Joe or whoever else in the culture. Is, hey, listen, I do think he's at the point he doesn't need to do it, right? But you can't, but it looks away when you don't do it, when you don't communicate with them, but you're bothered by their opinions. Because you're so big when you don't do hip-hop interviews, the conversation, I've seen people have this conversation, and this is probably true. Is the hip-hop interview even needed nowadays? Like, these days, you'll see the Offset's, like, the biggest part of his media week or media run is going to be the Kai Cenat, right? It's not going to a hip-hop outlet answering hip-hop questions. So if people are having these conversations, like, bro, is hip-hop media even really necessary? That's a legit conversation to have based on how the artists releasing music are going about promoting the music. Absolutely. But here's the thing. You can't react. You can't, your actions can't be of, you guys aren't as relevant, yet you're reacting to their words. You get what I mean? It's hypocritical, if you ask me. Anyway, he posted up this thing, like a bunch of pictures, and he just slid like a picture in there with, it's the fedora hat case, and it's like it's actually a cropped out picture of Joe that you could kind of see on my page here. However, let me show you the picture. Yeah, the full picture is this, right? The full picture is this. Okay. He also had another, like, I feel like all of his captions are kind of like talking about that, right? Okay, not this, but this one. It says, wait, stop typing. You gonna post and come say to my face, give a fuck what a strange stranger gotta say. It's absolutely no way. If you want to take it there, let's go all the way. God forbid I call Chubbs to call away. But anyway, I could call on almost anybody from round the way. And it's the opposite of Valentine's Day. You play your songs and I literally, on them shits like Trey, I'm a top tier lyricist. It's soft talks for all my solid ladies with the Shakira hips, the monolith, the all-seeing eye, in the 6, I'm the optometrist. Shit was on 5 when I arrived and I had to turn to 6 like Adonis. I really deserve a monument outside the consulate. I am Drizzy Abramovich. I'm Drizzy Abramovich. But at the end of the night, when the sky get bright, we all just some Toronto kids, right? And again, by the way, shit, this kind of sounds fire. I hope this is on song. But I will say that it appears that Drake is, he's kind of reacting to what people are saying. There was a reviewer supposedly that reviewed the album, but kind of trashed it